He was dominant all season long, and it took him all the way to the final 3 on Survivor Season 48. So joining me now is third place finisher, Joe. Joe, how are you? Good to see you again. The whole season's out now. How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. What a ride. Man, and good morning. Yeah, it's just happy to be here. What a ride. What a ride. And I'm so thankful for everything, and the way it shook out is just a blessing to be a part of Survivor. So I'm thankful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so 4 immunity wins. Did you ever expect to do that well going out there? Was that a goal of yours? Like, what were your thoughts on kind of how successful you were in challenges?
You know, honestly, and I say this with all truth, is that I think people will say, "Oh yeah, I expected to win everything and all these challenges," and I've never been like that because I respect the game so much, and that um, it's not CrossFit Games, right? It's not the Olympic trials. Like, they make it dynamic enough to where, when I mean that, is like anybody can do it. So I know going into it, they're gonna have something in there that's your weakness. Period. There's no superhuman person that does everything perfect. So I honestly didn't think I'd win one. And I know that's like, and I don't mean that I was putting myself down. I've lost the seasons. And there's so many challenges. I'm like, I would be horrible at that. I would be horrible at that. And so and I'm going to be on like 45. I, you're fit. That matters. You're 15, 20 years older than some of these individuals. And I had complete ACL with both my meniscus repaired 8 months earlier. I was on the table getting operated on. So I didn't think I'd win one.
But alas, here you are. So,
Right.
you talked about this a lot throughout this season, but I just kind of want to know now that it's all out there, and just a little bit more from you on a personal level there. Like, why was the loyalty and integrity thing so crucial to you in this game?
And I want to be clear, and I appreciate the question. Is like, I didn't set out with this concept of loyal integrity, and this is the only way to do it. I think people spin it into this hierarchy, or this like you look down on someone that doesn't. The My whole point in going out there was, I'm just gonna be Joe. Like, I'm just gonna be me and hope that that works. And then it gets labeled as that. It's like, well, yeah, I mean that I feel you have to have people or a person you trust out there. I just feel that way. I feel you need at least one. You can't do it alone. And so, as it kind of gained momentum, it was really other castaways that were like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is why not. And I'm not playing the victim with that. I'm just saying, okay, sure. Like, we kind of are aligning here, but I'm just fortunate that I played the way I wanted to play. And it doesn't mean that it's better or worse than anybody else, but it's just the way I wanted to play. And I'm proud of it.
Well, you have to be proud of it and you have to stand by it. So, just something really cool is that we got to talk preseason, which is not something that I always get to do. Now we're getting to talk postseason. So, there's something I want to kind of bring full circle here, which is we had a really nice chat about your sister preseason. And there was so many times you brought it up on the season. There was a point at the final 6 where you kind of went out on your own, and you just kind of like needed this moment to really kind of get healing and clarity with your sister's passing. So, I am curious, did being out on the island kind of provide that sense of peace for you, and your sister's passing, because obviously that's kind of like the unimaginable for a lot of people, especially the way in which she passed. And so I'm just curious, like, if that was kind of therapeutic or cathartic for you getting to experience that out there.
I'll work through this. I'm sorry if I get emotional with it, but um, yeah, it was beyond therapeutic. Like, I can't explain enough that, you know, it wasn't planned. That wasn't my mission going out there. But the letters from home and my son and daughter, the bravest dad moment, uh, is because it touched me, because I thought, well, really being brave is identifying something that maybe has been bothering me forever. And being vulnerable is really the bravest thing you can do with strangers. And I thought, my sister deserves her message heard. And we needed to connect in a way that I haven't addressed things. And I thought, this is it. Like, I'm going to show my kids how to be brave. It was six, Joanna. Everything I do is in six when I work out, all those things. And so it just aligned. And it was beyond therapeutic from us talking before to now because it allowed me to air out something and get it off my chest and hopefully help others too. So I will be indebted to Survivor and its community, people like yourself and that are willing to listen to that. And it changed my life.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I think it was the thing that stood out to me most. You know, a lot of us, if we're lucky enough, have a really strong sibling relationship, and I'm really close with my younger sister. And so seeing that made me think of that. Thankfully, she's still here. But anyway, it just brings up a lot of emotions, I think, for a lot of people. So speaking of really tight bonds, though, obviously you and Eva were one of the most talked about duos of this season. So kind of walk me through that journey with her. You know, very early on, she opened up to you about her autism, and then you had that viral moment happen, and then you guys went all the way to the end together, never betraying each other, always keeping the trust there. So just kind of walk me through your relationship with her and why that was so important to you to keep throughout the season.
Oh my gosh. What I want people to realize in this is that, and it's a shame that this maybe doesn't get highlighted enough, is that, I mean, people got to remember when we went out there, like, we didn't have this goal, her and I link up day one and try to make an alliance to then dominate the game. This wonderful young woman comes to me with her autism. And then imagine if I'm not on this season. Imagine if we're not on the same tribe. Imagine if she never has an episode. Maybe it never comes up. Maybe it never is even talked about. And I think what people forget is both of us, and it's a blessing. It happened. And then we're catapulted in front of everybody. It just happened. And I think people forget that piece that instead of looking at it like, oh, this strong alliance, like, remember, now what? I mean, it happens. Okay, so now what do we do? So it's like, okay, well, it's out there. I feel it's much harder to do it that way because it wasn't by design, even though it was a blessing, it wasn't by design. And the fact that we were able to get through the end is a tribute to me, to the relationships that we built. It's that simple. It's not a magic potion. It's not I heard vampires, I heard all these things. It's just the relationships we both built. I feel complicated it enough to make it difficult for people to vote us out. And I'm proud of us to make it to the end with that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, I want to briefly go through some other game moments here before we run out of time. So, first up, how much of a mental battle was the Shaheen vote? Because we really saw Kyle and Camilla kind of swoon you with that one.
So here's the deal. Like, it's not taking away from Kyle and Camilla, but I want to be very clear. Like, this is what actually went down is I'm starting to realize everyone's perception is reality. But the honest truth is, Shaheen and I just had a huge fight, and we just fought as a couple, meaning a verbal argument. And it was just about life and what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And we just fought, and they knew that, they saw that, they sensed that. That fight, what you see on TV is the tail end of that. We were already done. We were stubborn, emotional, and because of that, it opened the crack for them to slide in. And then the rest played out. So I'm not taking away from their game, but on a normal day, him and I'm telling you, like, nothing changes it. And they knew that. And we just had a poorly timed argument. I wear that as much as I hope he does, that we fought. And that was that. It's that. I know that seems simple, but out there that late in the game, devastating.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I can see that being devastating, especially as a close ally to you. So, I have a two-part kind of question here about the fire making of it all. So, first of all, how did you feel about Kyle being willing to take you to Final Three instead of having you compete? And secondly, why did you kind of instinctively voice that you would step in for Eva after her episode?
So Kyle's kind of pledged to say he was going to take me. It just goes to show he's a great guy. I got nothing but good things to say. But it's hard because you see the game deception, but then you see the realness in that. And at the end of the day, like, he stood on that. Whether that was gameplay, whether that was him calculating things, at the end of the day, that was just a good person that said, "Hey." So I'm so honored that he did that. And then second, with Eva and the fire making, that wasn't an act. It's just she was hurting, in need. It was awful to just see someone you care about hurting. I knew that she could do it, but there's a point where you go, hey, as a person, I'm done with the game. I'm done with all of this. I'm not going to sit here and watch somebody struggle for whatever reason. Like, it's just, I feel anybody would do that. So it was a real moment of like, I'm not okay with this. Like, and it's not to take away. I'm not saying she couldn't do it because she did it, but I I wasn't good with just we just sit here and like this is I just watch you suffer. Like, no, like what are we doing? And so she's so stubborn. She said no, but I'm so proud of her because she did it. She got it done.
Okay, I don't mean this in a rude way. I'm just kind of basing
Yeah.
this off observation of what I saw off the fan base last night. People seem a bit unimpressed with your final tribal presentation is the reception I got this morning. So I'm kind of curious, like, what are your general thoughts on that? Did you have like a strategy going into final tribal of how to approach your game? How would you maybe respond to that?
It's hard because I felt that um the final tribal. I do think that I answered the questions appropriately. I feel that um it 100% I was direct. I answered it with accurate descriptions of what happened. And there's a lot of it that were questions on top of questions, right? That I have to let some of this play out. I didn't want to overtalk people. I didn't want to step on people's toes. And to be honest with you, um, again, it always kind of falls on like, oh, it was just because he didn't present it well. Like, remember, if anyone comes in with preconceived ideas, emotions, and an attitude on the jury towards you, you can feel that. And so I don't feel that it was as much my final tribal as a mix of emotion and the game and who's on the jury and our collision of those two things. I don't feel was the that was more of the issue than the lack of a presentation.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I would actually agree with you on that. So, okay, my final sort of question for you here. One thing that I really love that you said in the end was you said that Eva kind of gave you the chance to show the world who you really are. Can you kind of expand on that idea and what you meant by that?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. Simply put, you you realize you get judged out there pretty quickly when you get home. You realize there's all these people that are just throwing at stones, and even though there's so much great, you kind of only listen for me. You listen to the negative, and oh, I would have done this, I would have done that, or this or that, and you thought, man, like you you don't realize that when you sign up that that's kind of part of it. But I will say that why that comment is so true to my soul is that when Eva came to me and gave me the opportunity, that's like the best gift in life is when someone life presents these moments where you have a decision to make. And when it's natural, it's not rehearsed, it's not for clicks, it's not because people are watching. When you don't think or know the outcome, it's like I have this moment to act. Man, like what a platform that she gave us to just show how to be a good human. And like it doesn't happen if she doesn't open up to me and then we have an episode. So I'm just grateful for her to be vulnerable with me. And I'm not happy that she went through a hard time out there. I'm just grateful that I was there and was able to act.
Yeah,
I'm proud of that.
for sure. I think it really speaks to the power of authenticity, which I think is what kind of allowed for you to shine in that way as well. So, okay, my legit final question, just answer this briefly for me. Would you compete again on Survivor?
1000% yes.
All right. Well, maybe we'll see you on season 50. Who's to say? I guess we'll find out next Wednesday. Well, anyway, Joe, thank you so much for your time. Congrats on such a successful season. Maybe we'll see you again in the future. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me.